You're listening to the Overcast, sunshine on a cloudy day, part of the Oversoul Gaming channel. Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast, the entertainment podcast focused mostly on fun. I am your host, Justin, aka Oversoul.
And I am your co-host, Nick, aka The Vaping Fiend.
Yes, and we are bringing you sunshine on a cloudy day, although I have to put in a bit of a disclaimer here that at the beginning of this episode, in terms of our life updates and even a bit of the media corner, it may be a little more clouds than sunshine today, but worry not, because today's topic is going to be all sunshine, because the topic is going to be all about Gamescom 2023, which just happened earlier this week at the time of recording this, which is 12:49 a.m. on a Saturday. But earlier on Tuesday, the live stream happened. There was a bunch of things and stuff, and we're going to talk all about it after we quickly get through all of the other things, some of which might be a little sad. So this is your warning now if you don't want to hear things that might be a tad bit distressing, just because we're both kind of going through some stuff right now. Then please feel free to fast forward to the topic. But otherwise, buckle in, because it won't be all bad. In fact, I have a funny recommendation for my media corner today, a funny cartoon. So, stick around and find out. Could go either way, folks.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I said the podcast focused mostly on fun at the beginning of this one, just to be safe. Gotta cover my ass and my assets, if you know what I'm saying. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So,
All right.
yeah, I'm going to rip this Band-Aid off super quick, because I know I said in the last episode that I had found a place and I was moving into it, and that all turned out to not be so good. It did not work out for reasons that I won't get into on here. And it is like I got my deposit back, but lost a bunch of other money in the process, like the first month's rent and stuff, and it may end up being an issue down the line that I'll have to seek legal means to take care of. But in the meantime, it's the number one thing is still trying to find an apartment by next Thursday, which good luck.
Right.
Truth is, I may have to stay a couple nights or even like a week or so in a hotel, which there's a pet friendly hotel right down the street from me. It's a Super 8, so it's not like, it's not like some seedy side of the highway, dig thing. It's like a legit motel with like a pool and a laundry room and free breakfast and comfy beds and all that shit, like.
Right.
So, and it's actually the cheapest motel in town at like $50 a night, 50 or 60 something a night, which is still expensive, but it's not something it's something I can afford. I just don't want to have to go that route and then rent a storage shed on top of it. It's annoying, but I'm trying to be optimistic and look at the fact that at least I'm not homeless completely. Right. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be homeless. I'd still, I've got money. I can stay at a nice hotel. While I wait for something. I mean, I'm going to fill out an application at another apartment tomorrow morning, and just recently filled out an application and took a look at one, waiting to hear back from that guy. That one is pretty nice. It's actually like it used to be like, like a fancy rich person's house that got either sold or foreclosed on or something, and they bought it, renovated it, and turned it into 4 apartments.
Oh, nice.
Yep, so kind of hoping to get that one. Be preferable to living into an apartment complex where, it's like you have to go in the building and up the elevator and then through the, that's where all the horror movies happen. But
Yeah.
but no, actually it was a really nice apartment complex. The apartment itself had like really nice like finished wooden floors and air conditioner in the wall already, so
Yeah.
um the all the amenities, they got a laundry room there, all that. They have a like I guess it used to be like an office building or something, because they have a conference room that that is like meant for like if you have like family over for like the holidays or something, you can use that for your feast.
Yeah.
They have like a room for the people to hang out and stuff. They also have like a vending machine room there too, so don't have to go far for your snacks.
Right.
So there are pros and cons to all of this. I'm hoping to get the nicer one. It's over by the hospital out here, but that'll be the only
Right.
downside, is hearing the ambulance shit go by all the time. But
Yeah.
but it is what it is. On the upside, though, work is back tonight, so that's good. And they switched our routes, I guess you could call them, around, because it's 4 custodians, 1 school. So that's evenly split into, we each clean 1/4 of the school every night. So
Right.
and mine is, I used to do classrooms over on one side of the building. Now I'm on the opposite side of the building, cleaning the music rooms, the locker rooms.
Nice.
In like the theater area, and I actually much prefer this room, because the classrooms are a lot of like, I gotta bend over constantly and wipe off desks, and it's like really hard on my back. This run is a lot more like big wide open spaces where I don't have to like bend down as much and do that kind of stuff. It's more like
locker rooms are where like a lot of horror movie shit happens.
No. See, these locker rooms are actually peaceful. I intentionally leave the lights off when I go in there to clean it, because there is no like full darkness in this school. There are the emergency night lights that are always on because they're hooked up to a generator. So even when you turn the lights off, they always stay on. So there's always like, so if anything, it adds an even more creepy ambiance to the hallways, because it's not completely dark, but it's not brightly lit. It's like, dimly lit. There's like one night light every 3 lights down the hallway.
Right, yeah.
But strangely, no, the locker rooms are actually like super peaceful, and they're like air conditioned.
Nice. Okay.
No, I don't know, maybe it's just like I don't know. It's like the material that the floor is made out of and stuff. They have like a cave type feeling to them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Nice.
But no, I just like the run I have now better, because it's more wide open areas that are easier for me to clean, I think, than, all the tedious bending over and weaving in and out of tight spaces. This is more my speed. The only room I miss cleaning from my old run is the library. I enjoyed vacuuming the library for whatever reason, but
I believe it.
But yes, and besides all that, and this, I'm cheating a little bit and sneaking this in here because I'm not doing the media corner for it or anything, because it's not, it's like my 400th time playing it. But I've felt the need for a little comfort food nostalgia lately for obvious reasons, so I've been replaying Final Fantasy X for the 4,000th time, and
there you go.
Man, it still holds up in a lot of ways, but in a lot of other ways it doesn't. But I still love it. It's so weird to see the very first Final Fantasy game with voice acting that came out on the PS2, and since everything was recorded in Japanese and then dubbed in English, the mouth movements do not match the words.
I believe it.
It's and some of the all the in-engine character rendering, the characters look really stoic, but like in the pre-rendered cutscenes, they look beautiful. I'm like, this game, I'd like to see them do a remake of this one in the style of the pre-rendered cutscenes, but no, the gameplay still holds up, and the story is one of the best in the franchise and all that. But yeah, so Yeah, that's what's up with me lately, but not to worry, me being in a hotel, if it comes down to that, isn't going to put a stop to anything else that's going on. I'll still have my consoles with me, I'll still have my cats with me, and I'll still
Right.
have my computer with me, so, this this Oversoul train will keep on a rolling no matter what.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody
The
stopping
show
us.
must go on.
Life has thrown me a lot of curveballs, not only recently, but just like in general. I seem to be cursed with a particular stroke of bad luck, and maybe it's a self fulfilling prophecy. Who the fuck knows at this
Bro, do you
point?
think
But
it had anything to do with that demon that you pissed off back in Jake's house back in
I ain't.
2011?
You know what? I've pissed off a lot of things in my life, so it could be like and
Oh my
people.
god.
So who knows at this point anymore? I
Bro, I remember you fucking you
But also like
oh man.
because even if there was something like that, which like
It
these
drained
days
a lot of energy out of you.
I am not as uh like I still love like horror movies and all that, but I'm not like a ghost chaser like I used to be. I don't,
Used to do that shit all the time.
I look for logical explanation and scientific explanations first now before I start delving into that. Although the unknown does fascinate me, I do, but it's not the unknown itself so much as it is the want to solve it. It's like a puzzle that needs to be solved, right? Like
Yeah.
I want to find the logical explanation behind the paranormal phenomena. I
Hmm.
want to solve it. It's kind of like when the magician does the trick and they're like, a magician never tells their secrets. No, fuck that, man. I want to know how you did it. Like, I want to
Right.
see the behind the scenes. I want to peek behind the curtain. I watched all of the bonus features on all of the Saw movies to see how they did that stuff. For some people, they say that breaks immersion because when they're watching it, they're like, well, now I know it's just nylons filled with meat, not real intestines. Oh, no, you mean to tell me that this fake movie isn't real? Oh, my God. But me, I love that shit. I love knowing how they do that because when you watch it and you're like, man, how do they do that without actually killing someone? Besides that being illegal. Well,
Right.
then they show
Right.
you. It's just the fucking magic of the digital world.
Yeah.
Although in those movies they used prosthetics as much as they possibly could for that realistic feeling, and in the third movie they actually used real pig corpses. So there's that too.
Right.
Oh shit! But anyways, I went off on a tangent. That's all that's up with me. It's ups and downs. As you can see, it clearly hasn't dampened my spirits. I'm trying.
Right.
I'm just trying. I'm gonna make whatever happens. I'm gonna make the most of it.
Exactly. And that's all you take things one day at a time. That's all you can do.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, how about you?
Me, I recently started a new job. I'm already liking it. Um, I started at UPS on Monday. I had my last night of training last night as of this recording, and I start in my designated department on Monday. They had us doing some hands-on work to help unloading the air cans for like incoming stuff. My department, I will be basically learning to be a Tetris master. I will be loading the air cans that go on the airplanes. Basically, treat it like a big old game of Tetris. But no, I'm really excited to start on Monday in my designated department to learn what I'm going to be doing. Obviously, they're gonna through the help me out the first couple times to basically show me the ropes of what the job is. But no, I think it's the repetitiveness. I need repetition in my life. Taco Bell wasn't providing that. It was a bunch of like, yeah, I had to do it at a high speed and high pace, but it was different things when I need repetition. With UPS, I'll be doing the same thing every day, repetitive. It's my I have a one track mind, so I need. So it's the autism, bro. Like um
Wait.
it's
I thought ADHD was like the opposite of a one-track mind. Because yeah, with autism comes hyper-focusing, but with ADHD comes like like jumping around from one thing to the next.
so okay. Taco Bell, my autism like really got to me in when I was working at Taco Bell. So with
Mm.
UPS, the UPS is basically providing me with hyper focusing on one thing and one thing only.
Okay, there you go.
So I think I'm really gonna like it at UPS. I really do. I'm gonna kind of sneak one tiny little thing in as well. Ryan, I know you're listening. Um, so my soon-to-be girlfriend, Sarah, uh, heard me talking about a TikTok video that I would just so happen to be scrolling by, and it was the his smile or the high smile toothpaste that
The Smile High Club.
the right, bro, like this shit does no there's no minty taste to this shit. I got she got me the mango sorbet flavor,
I have to
which
imagine if
was
you're
oh
part of
my
the
god,
Smile High Club, it would be a salty taste.
bro. bro, bro. No, there's no minty flavor to these. It's mango sorbet and peach iced tea. We are not sponsoring this, by the way.
Take that, YouTube censors.
We are not sponsoring this. No, but no, it was. I mean, I tried both flavors. My teeth haven't felt this great in a long time. Like, bro, this shit is fucking good.
Well, you heard it here on the podcast first, folks. Nick is now an official member of the Smile High Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, doubling back just a tad bit to what you said about your job and repetition, all I can say
Yeah.
is I have, for some whatever reason, I have to have some kind of like middle ground balance where I have not repetition but routine where
Right.
I'm doing the same thing every night, but I'm not doing the same thing all night. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't do
Right.
like a factory thing where I'm just sitting there and putting the thing in the box and putting the thing in the box and putting the thing in the box and putting the thing in the, like some kind of robot over and over again. I couldn't. I do the same thing every night, but I move around from spot to spot and do different things in each spot, and that gives me enough variety while still being the same to meet that perfect sweet spot in the middle. Plus, I have a lot of freedom and independence on the run that I have at work, where I'm by myself. Like I don't see the other custodians much at all because their shit's all either upstairs or on the other side of the building. So
Fair enough. Fair
yeah,
enough.
and like I'm like, you know, freaking deep in the bowels of the locker rooms and shit like that, you know.
Right.
So it's like I'm like it's an introvert's dream, you know, like
Yeah.
not only that the job I have, but having the specific spots that I have at that job.
Yeah.
You know, perfection.
Yeah.
So UPS and toothpaste, is it?
Yep. I'm a UPSer, and that toothpaste is fucking lit, bro.
Ah, well, you know what? You know, you could probably get that toothpaste delivered to you in a UPS box.
It was actually delivered USPS.
Oh, of course, just a one letter difference.
Yeah.
The snail mail, but it came, but sometimes those things get transferred. But anyways, you know what else sometimes comes in UPS boxes?
What's
is
that?
media. Because people can order
Yeah,
their games and shit and movies and whatnot from Amazon, and they come in
yep,
UPS boxes. So,
exactly.
what do you say we ship ourselves a box full of media and open it up and see what's inside?
I'm the gray one. I live with a nice lady and anywhere from 40 to 60 other cats. And I know every word to the movie In Her Shoes.
All right, folks, welcome to the Media Corner, the part of the show where we talk about the things that we've played or watched or listened to or read or any of that we want to review, mini review, positive or negative, and or media related news that caught our interest or is important to us. And considering that today's topic is, heavily video game leaning again, we're going to keep this episode's media corner short and sweet, down to one item each. And Nick has something very important to tell us, so he's going to go first.
All right. So, as you all know, I'm a very, very big wrestling fan. Um, I got some heart-wrenching news yesterday. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers have has passed away. Uh, it was a heart attack. Uh, it was Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was 36 years of age. It was the first piece of news that I saw from it. Could not come from a more reliable resource. It came right from Triple H and his official Twitter account. He said, just received a call from WWE Hall of Famer Mike Rotunda, who informed us of the tragic news that our WWE family member for life, Wyndham Rotunda, also known as Bray Wyatt, unexpectedly passed earlier today. Our thoughts are with his family, and we ask that everyone respect their privacy at this time. Not long after that was posted, before I actually, while I was on my way to work, I saw an article that basically confirmed the cause of death. It was a heart attack. Back in February this year, he contracted COVID 19, which exacerbated his uh, already existing heart condition. And it got continued to get worse and worse over time, even after he tested negative for COVID. Um, and I found out yesterday, August 23rd. August 23rd uh, was the time of his passing. Wait, no, let me fact check that. I'm all over the place today. Fourth. It was the 24th. I did, however, today watch the I watched the episode of SmackDown that was they completely scrapped any and all plans for any storylines or anything, and they put together the last minute a tribute show not only for Bray Wyatt but also for Terry Funk, who was a longtime tag team member of with the late great Dusty Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes, who is on the roster currently, uh, paid tribute to Terry Funk uh, in honor of the tag team that he had with his father. Um, so yeah, I will say, before I go on any further, I want to take a moment of silence in honor of not only Bray Wyatt but Terry Funk as well. Thank you, Bray Wyatt. I did actually also read that WWE is making arrangements to make sure that his widow and his children are taken care of. Um, any and all proceeds from any purchases of his merchandise on the WWE shop are going uh, right to JoJo Offerman and uh, the kids.
Always tragic to hear something like
I'm not
this.
gonna lie, man. I've been hit. I've been hit with I've been hit with what feels like a freight train today. Today, yeah, no, that was a very emotional episode of SmackDown for me to watch. I broke down and I cried. I cried when they shined the light on the chair that Bray used to sit in. Uh, I'm glad that Tony Khan, the founder of AEW, uh, let Eric Rowan. He is known as Eric Rowan in the WWE, but he is known as Eric Redbeard in AEW. Eric Rowan was once a tag team member with Bray, so it was nice of Tony Khan to let Eric Rowan go to the episode of SmackDown for WWE television to honor his friend. Braun Strowman was up front as well
So,
with Eric Rowan because he was part of the Wyatt family too. They were both front and center.
so a quick question for you. Now, the AEW, because I listened to What Culture Gaming's podcast,
Yeah.
and Scott and Josh on there, they're all British. And Scott, he's a fan of wrestling, but he talks about the AEW a lot. So is that like their UK division?
No, so AEW is a completely separate wrestling promotion.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
it
Okay.
is it is where a lot of the ex WWE guys have gone. Let's see, we've got Dean Ambrose. He was known as Dean Ambrose from in WWE. He is known as John Moxley in AEW.
Is there some
They
kind of like in fandom uh like rivalry about which one is better? Because I think I've heard him say before that he loves AEW but doesn't much care for WWE. And I don't know I don't understand the difference. You know,
so
so
basically with the way AEW is doing things, it's basically history repeating itself. We're basically
okay.
looking at a comparison of the WWF and WCW. WCW was another wrestling promotion that WWE eventually ended up buying. So, I mean, at this point, yeah,
Okay.
history is repeating itself. It's a
Okay.
completely separate wrestling promotion with different contracts for their superstars.
I had to laugh because they were talking about like who they'd like to see as DLC characters for the new Mortal Kombat game, and he started mentioning a bunch of wrestlers from that, and he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "They basically do fatalities anyway." So
Bro, those fucking fatalities in that trailer, though.
Yeah. Oh, I
Oh
know.
my
Oh,
god.
we'll get to that.
Oh, I
Um,
know. We'll get into all the nitty gritty shit.
but okay. Well, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Bray. No, not rest in peace. Rest in paradise, Bray
Yeah.
Wyatt.
Yeah. There. Yeah.
You will be, you will be missed, and we will never forget the legacy that you have left behind. You were one of the most insanely crazy creative minds ever to step foot in the WWE in a good way, of course. The most creative mind ever to step foot into the WWE, and for that, Bray Wyatt, I thank you.
I was trying to think about it, and I've come up with the realization that although, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm I'm giving us a palate cleanser for my media corner, and I'm talking about an animated show on Fox called Housebroken. I was trying to figure out a good way to segue into that, and I realized that anything I could possibly come up with is just would kind of maybe come across a little tasteless. So
That's fair.
but anyways, I do want to talk about Housebroken. Now, I wouldn't have necessarily recommended the show in its first season, even though I liked it because I definitely is an acquired taste. But by the time I'm like halfway through the second season now, and it has really grown on me in such a unique way. The second season is much better. But the basic premise of this is that this is one of those like animals have secret lives, like Secret Life of Pets type
Yeah, yeah,
stories.
yeah, yeah.
But like, so there's the two main dogs. There's Honey and Chief, and they both live with their human Jill. And Honey is like a therapist dog to all of her animal friends in the neighborhood. There's a fat orange cat named Chico. There is a one-eyed gray cat named the Gray One because he lives in a crazy cat lady house with so many cats that they're all just called. That's the Gray One. That's the shaky one. That's the one with fleas. Um, there's a little dog that looks like a weasel named Diablo. There's a mentally deranged hamster named Nibbles. There is a celebrity,
Okay.
George Clooney's pet pig is part of it. Yep. And there's a stuck up Persian cat named Tabitha.
Okay.
And there's like a corgi who's an emotional support dog named Elsa.
All right.
Yeah, these characters all fit like an archetype. Like, since the corgi is the emotional support dog, she's the one that they dump all of like the PC jokes on. Where they're trying to make fun of PC culture. So she's like the stand-in for that. Kind of thing.
Right.
There's all kind of stuff like Chico is the stand-in for how sometimes pets have abandonment issues because his owner is like never home. In one episode, he's like, "My owner's been gone so long, I forgot what his face looked like, and I need him to come home soon because my food bowl's getting empty." And he's like, "Uh-oh, I forgot what food looks like." Yeah, it's great. So the Honey plays therapist to all these other animals, and they all have their own problems. There's also a horny turtle named Shell, um, and they're all just nuts. Oh, the raccoon! The raccoon is great too. They always ask him for his help because they're like, "Look, you have thumbs, we don't. We need your help with stuff."
Right.
But every episode they're just getting into weird shenanigans, and it's like, because they're animals, they don't quite understand everything. So like both seasons had episodes about how animals are scared of fireworks, and they just call them the boom booms, and they just. They're like smart animals, but they're still animals, so they get confused by stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't fully understand things. And they just like Like, and they're just so casual about things that humans would be horrified by. Like, that one episode they were looking for someone, and the chief sniffs a puddle on the ground, and he's like, ooh, that could be their pee. I would know. And he's like, no, it's just the blood from a recent murder. You know?
That's
just
funny.
stuff like that. It's actually pretty great. The characters, they go through a lot of character development because even though Honey is a therapist, she's got her own like narcissism issues and stuff that she has to work through.
Mhm.
And she thinks she's a therapist because her human is, you know, but she's just a dog, you know. And
Right.
they do animal things, but from their perspective, it looks different to them than it does to people.
Yeah.
But if I was to recommend any episode of this show to watch to get you in on it, to get anyone in on it, it would be season 2, episode 6. Because yes, there is kind of like every episode is loosely connected. There is like a sort of overarching narrative and a bit of continuity, but it's also the kind of show where you can watch literally any episode and be able to follow it. You know,
Okay.
you don't have to start from the beginning to understand it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
Yeah, like for the dogs, they don't have Christmas, they have Trashmas because like so much food and garbage and stuff gets thrown out. They call it Merry Trashmas, and they just start digging through the trash and eating people's leftovers and shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it's there was an episode where like the day animals go to war with the night animals.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that. But I want to, before I tell you which episode you should watch to get into the show, I will point out that the show does have some very forward-thinking things to say about animals. So like, there's an episode that deals with wildfires, for example.
Yeah.
And like both the fireworks episodes seem to indicate that that people need to be more sensitive towards how the fireworks make the pets feel.
Yeah.
There is literally an episode all about abandoned pets where hipsters like buy exotic pets for like for photo ops and shit, and then abandon them, and they like end up in the basement and stuff. And there was one that was like a ferret that was genetically fused with a poodle or something so that they could be smuggled into the country more easily. And apparently that's a real thing that happens. And they even put they break the fourth wall and they're like, no, seriously, this is true. Google it. And they put a QR code up there that you can scan to look it up. And it's true. And so it's a very pro animal show. You know, it's
Makes sense.
very like animal rights heavy, but it's all like wrapped up in, goofy comedy and stuff. But I would say the second season is a lot more heavy handed on that stuff than the first season was. The first season was more about like telling stories. The second season is more about sending a message, I would say. So, and it's a message that I agree with. And they're, very, I give them props for it. It might be one of the reasons I like the second season more too. But the episode I want to recommend is it's season 2, episode 6, called "Who's Trippin'?" And the reason I want to recommend it is because I think people, if they're going to get into this show, they should see what is considered one of the more funnier and entertaining episodes before getting into the more serious stuff. And this is a good introduction of mostly what to expect, but in this episode, the two main dogs, their owner does a bunch of drugs, and it allows her to be able to understand them, so they start communicating with each other and everything.
Okay.
And it kind of leads to some eye-opening revelations about some things about themselves,
Right.
And it actually has like a very heartfelt ending to the episode and everything like that. And like it deals with things like adoption and abandonment issues and stuff like that, but it's all wrapped in like a funny drug trip. And the other part of it is that like there's a bunch of hippies doing drugs in the backyard and everything, and 2 of the cats take off after they get scared by the human coming home. And because all those pets aren't supposed to be there, it's just supposed to be the 2 dogs. They sneak them in when their owner's away.
Right.
And they end up in the backyard, and they see all of the hippies doing bongos, high off their gourd and everything, dancing around the fire. And this might be the funniest line in the entire show for me personally, but the gray one says, he says, "Ooh, looks like they got into the people nip."
Oh, that's fucking funny. Oh, man. Oh, that's great.
It was just so out of nowhere, and I laughed. This isn't one of those like bust your gut, laugh out loud constantly shows, but it's like consistently entertaining and smirk worthy. You know, like it's a show that you might not be laughing the whole time, like on the outside, but you're laughing on the inside, and you're like visually smiling as you're watching it. You know, it's that kind of funny. You know, like Modern Family Guy.
Right.
My only caveat is that this is a Fox show, which means it has a hard chance of being canceled because that's what they do. But they ordered after the first season. The first season was pretty lackluster, and it was only 11 episodes. But they ordered a whole second season, and the second season is 19 episodes long. So
nice.
But you know what? I think it's going to be on for at least a couple more seasons because season 2 is definitely a quality increase. And
for sure.
Anybody who likes animals and enjoys the like Fox sitcom animated stuff like Family Guy, Simpsons, Bob's Burgers, that kind of shit. If you like animals and you like those kinds of shows, then you need to watch Housebroken.
Okay.
If you like the movie Secret Life of Pets, think of like Secret Life of Pets, but as a series and way more adult. You know, because they're dealing with thematic issues. They're dealing with like there are several episodes where like characters like insecurities about themselves will cause them to kind of like stab their friends in the back and shit, and then they end up having like an epiphany at the end of the episode. You know, somebody always learns something in these episodes, even though they turn around and do the same shit 3 episodes later. But there's a message. There's a message in almost every episode, is what I'm saying. On top of all the comedy. So,
yeah, of course.
You know, just like be careful. Some of these episodes might kind of, you know, make you hold a mirror up to yourself.
Right.
But no, it's yeah. I think you would like it for sure. Like it's definitely your kind of thing. You know, this is definitely up your alley of like animated cartoon comedy, adult comedy cartoons. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think I can think of at least a couple of our listeners that would like it as well. I think, or at least if they gave it a try, I would say watch the episode I recommended first, season 2, episode 6, "Who's Trippin'," and then from there, you know, I would say either season 2, episode 6, "Who's Trippin'," or season 2, or that's the drug trip one, or season 2, episode 4, "Who's a Scaredy Cat." That's the one about abandoned pets. That one's a little more serious, but it's got like a parody of a horror movie in some parts. So I think you'd like that one too. So yeah, either episode 4 or episode 6 of season 2, or both. I would say watch both of them, then decide.
Hell yeah.
But okay, well, yeah, that's all we both had. You know, not doing 2 or 3 things this time, just one, because we have a lot of video games to talk about. So
Nibbler decided to pass out right on top of the pizza box.
A cat on a pizza box, ain't that something?
If I fits, I sits.
Of course.
And she knocked the fuck. She's sleeping. Nibbler, I want some pizza.
You know what's funny? Oh, maybe she's paying an homage to Futurama because you remember how when Fry got stuck in the thing where he got teleported, or not where he got cryogenically frozen and woke up in the future, he was delivering pizza. He was a pizza delivery boy. And remember later in the show, they later revealed that it was actually Nibbler who traveled back in time and pushed the chair back to make him fall into that thing in the first place because they needed him in the future to save his people. So your cat is doing a Futurama homage. A Futuramage, if you will.
big yawn.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, I'm glad we squeezed that in before the transition. Anyways, on to the topic.
Gamescom 2023.
All right, everyone, welcome to this episode's topic of interest, where we're going to talk about the Gamescom 2023 and all the fun things that came with it. It was basically a follow-up show to Summer Game Fest earlier this year. We got more in-depth looks and stuff at things that we saw there and at last year's Game Awards. But there were a couple of small surprises here and there that I thought were kind of noteworthy. But yeah, I managed, to keep a list, and there are several things. So the first thing is that before the main show, there was a pre-show that had a couple little things in it. With a different guy doing a pre-recorded video thing. But the one thing I wanted to point out in particular was that when he has a conversation with Jeff on there, and Jeff says something along the lines of, "It's hard to meet everyone's expectations because people want they want in-depth looks at actual gameplay footage and stuff for a bunch of games, but then at the same time they also want a CGI trailer for a game that's not coming out for 6 years,
Right.
That's the constant battle always happens where people want some CG teaser for a game coming in 5 years, but then they also want to see real gameplay in real games.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He put a little. I could feel the what's the vindictiveness in that a little bit,
a little bit.
It was a tiny bit bitter, he's like these ungrateful children. I spent all my hard-earned money to get them an iPhone for Christmas, and they're screaming at me because it wasn't the right model. Yeah, that's the kind of. He's not wrong though. There's so many gamers
really
are entitled, whiny assholes. So
pretty fucking much.
But yeah, but there were a few games there that stood out to me. Bulletstorm is always fun, and I think playing that game in VR would be a very way over the top experience. Mandragora stood out to me because it looks like a game called Dragon's Crown. That I always enjoyed. Fae Farm I wanted to point out because it seems there are so many of these types of games now that they invented a new genre for it called Cozy Farm games. And that's where things like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley fall under now. And so I just wanted to point out Fae Farm because it's basically that again, but also because it's not only that, but it also has some action RPG elements to it. It looks like, during the day you're farming, but you can also go out and do some dungeon crawling stuff, and fight monsters and get treasure and all that. So it's kind of a hybrid.
My daughter was watching with me when I was watching the first part of the Gamescom, and she said that she really wanted to play Fae Farm. I'm like, it's not even out yet. I haven't. Kiddo, this game isn't coming out for another long while. So, did it say that when it was coming out?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. There's only one thing I actually remembered the release date of, and that's because it's on my birthday, which is why.
Fair enough.
Point. Yeah.
I will say I might have to, depending on when it comes out, I might have to put it on her Christmas list or something.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the kind of game that's meant for the Switch,
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, but if it's available for PS5, I'll put it on the wish list and I'll download it for her when I have the money.
Good stuff. And then the other two things that stood out to me from the pre-show both kind of fall in a horror-ish category. One of them is Seventh Guest VR, which I wouldn't necessarily consider horror, probably more mystery with some horror elements, because it seems like you are a ghost and you and a bunch of other ghosts are trying to like solve a mystery or something, you know. And it really stood out to me as kind of unique, and I like the aesthetic, like the visuals and the atmosphere of that one. And then there was a horror game that looks like it's in the vein of classic survival horror called Post Trauma, that looks like it takes place at like
that one looks intense.
Yeah, in like some kind of hospital or something. So I was like, okay, yeah. That's a maybe on that one. I want to see more, but yeah, that looks interesting. But then we got into the main show, and immediately they open up with what I consider a beautiful piano performance for one of the songs from the soundtrack of Starfield.
Yes, that was a beautiful performance. I will have to agree with that.
And then they showed September 6th, and I'm like, oh, that game comes out on my birthday, and it's gonna be free on Game Pass. So,
hell yeah,
you know, bet. Okay. Although it is like 126 gigs, and I have the Series S with the 500 gig hard drive, so unless I like delete a few things, I'm probably gonna have to like stream that one through the cloud.
Right.
And also, of course, we can't get past mentioning the fact that once again the show got there was a what did they call it, like a not stage runner, infiltrator or something like that. The stage infiltrator.
Somebody decided to run up on stage.
Yeah, so basically this guy thought he was going to be the next Bill Clinton kid, because you remember how at the Game Awards,
I remember,
and the Elden Ring team walked up with them. And he like dude Assassin's Creed his way up to the stage, man, because he was like he just blended in with them like he belonged, you know. But this guy was completely different. The Bill Clinton kid Assassin's Creeded his way up there. This motherfucker like just Call of Duty'd his way in. He like kicked the door in and came in guns blazing. He said, so I couldn't understand what he was saying. But I looked it up later, and apparently he said Bill Clinton wants to play GTA 6, and he just kept saying that.
What the fuck?
And I have to agree with Jeff. It's just sad and stupid when people do dumb shit like that, and they're trying and celebrate gaming.
That's just so disappointing. This is such a special night for so many developers, and it's really disappointing to see someone act that way. But we're going to move right on with the show. We've got a lot of great games to show you. Really, it's just so sad to me to see something like that happen tonight. We're here to celebrate games in this community and how much they mean to us. So,
but here's the other thing too. Some people are saying that was staged and they were doing it to make fun of that kid from the Game Awards. And so there's like, but Jeff hasn't confirmed one way or the other. There's no, like, at least not at the time of recording this, not that I've seen. But, so there's like arguments online about whether or not that actually happened, because he got escorted off by security. But there's arguments online about whether that actually happened or if it was staged, you know.
Right.
And if it did happen, man, after the Game Awards, you would have thought he would have beefed up security. To be fair, though, they were on top of that man like almost instantly. Like, I had to rewind to see what actually happened. They came in there and swooped his ass out super quick.
Yeah.
Like the goddamn Secret Service.
Right.
Target acquired. You know.
Right.
It was fucking nuts. So, what do you think? Do you think that was staged, or do you think that was legit?
I honestly, I think it was just some dude trying to get his 7 seconds of fame.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was like, hey, maybe I'll be famous like the Bill Clinton kid. No, man, see, if that was the goal, he failed. He failed because, look, I'm not condoning either of their actions. That's really stupid, and you should never do something like that. But the Bill Clinton kid at least had some finesse, you know?
Yeah,
he did.
Like, bruh. Like you said, he Assassin's Creeded his way up there.
Right, yeah. He
blended the fuck in.
At least he did some, like Mission Impossible shit, you know, and got himself up there. This other guy did, like, the equivalent of, like, somebody streaking through the baseball field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is what he did. You know,
Yeah.
look at me is kind of the whole. Yeah, but Jeff, he handled it so professionally. I gotta give him props, but you know he got his jabs in there too. He basically said, "You sad, pathetic little piece of shit," you know, in so many words.
Yeah.
It's like this is what people with no life do. Like,
Right.
no, but he's right though. We're there. It's supposed to be about the games and stuff, and people are just being assholes for no reason. Like, why waste your money on a ticket just to do that? You know?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But you know, anyways,
Do
I'm
better,
glad
people.
the audience booed him too, which has made me happy to see. So.
Hell the fuck yeah. I heard that shit.
Immediate pickup from that for me, by the way, and this is, by the way, this is personally the biggest thing in the entire show for me. Is Little Nightmares 3 was surprise announced at this.
Yeah.
And Jeff set our expectations. He said, "Don't expect any big announcements or anything." Well, buddy, big is subjective in this case because that's a big one for me. So, I love the first two games. This one seems like it's going to be like in a completely different location, different characters. I wonder if it'll even connect to the first one because the second one connected to the first one a lot. But
right.
even though you were a different character. But I guess we'll have to see. Oh, and this one is going to have the ability to play the game in co-op as well, which the first two didn't have. So there's that as well. So I'm excited for this. And one of the next things they showed stood out to me. It's called Black Myth Wukong. I can't tell if it's supposed to be a Souls-like or not. Based on the combat, it seems like it might be, but it also looks like an open-world RPG. All I know is that you play as a sort of ape man, and it's based in, I want to say, like Chinese folklore. And what really stood out to me about this is that there was a headless man playing the guitar in the trailer. You know?
Oh yeah,
that was very interesting. I couldn't look away at that point.
Right.
And then Monkey Man does all the fighting and stuff. But the fact that you play as a sort of half ape, half guy thing reminded me of Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. A game I played on the PS3 a long time ago. It's very underrated. But also, there was I got some Beyond Good and Evil vibes from like the animations and the overall aesthetic as well, and some of like the character designs. So at first I thought it was a new trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2, but then I was like, no, wait, that's not what he said. So that one's definitely on my interest list. I'm like, okay, so it's a monkey man in Chinese folklore, and you're fighting big monsters, and a headless man plays guitar. What's not to like about that? You know,
right.
I'll check it out. Do you want to talk about Zack Snyder's new movie Rebel Moon that's coming to Netflix?
You know, it looks interesting. I will have to say. I think honestly, I think that I might have to put that on my watch list when it comes out.
I mean, it's not like you're gonna spend any money on it, right? It's on Netflix, so
right.
Yeah, because Zack Snyder's either like hit or miss to me, right? Because his like extended cut of the Justice League is just a polished turd at best. You know, it's not
polish a turd. It's still a turd.
Exactly, and the stuff that he added to it, while some of it was cool, did nothing more to really fix it. And you know, there was about 30% extra unnecessary slow-mo shit. But if you go back. Zack Snyder's actually got some hits, like 300, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah. 300 was good.
And did he do Watchmen? Was that him, or... I
don't know.
I
don't remember. I didn't really... I never got the chance to see Watchmen. Never really had the time. But it is on my watch list, for sure.
He said, gotta watch The Watchmen. Yeah, I'm just looking real quick because Zack Snyder has kind of fallen from graces recently, so I'd have to go into this movie with cautious optimism. And lately, all he's done is like DC movies for the most part: Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League. Oh, he did Army of the Dead in 2021. I forgot about that. The one with Dave Bautista in it. I think it was on Amazon Prime. But yeah, 300. Yeah, he did Watchmen.
Oh,
He
that
did
was on
Watchmen.
Netflix.
He did Watchmen. He did 300. Oh, he did the new Flash movie. Well, that's not great, but oh, he did Sucker Punch in 2011. I did like that movie. So yeah, so Zack Snyder. But okay. But yeah, he did do Watchmen and I Sucker Punch. I remember that. Sucker Punch was that one that like takes place in like the asylum and those girls are like imagining their
and the one girl was the older sister in the Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yep. So, from the trailer, Rebel Moon does look decent. Pretty good cast lineup in there, too.
Hell yeah.
It's a completely original story, but yet something about it feels familiar, you know?
Right.
Like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I feel like, not like I've seen this, but when they were like narrating like have I ever told you the story of the princess of yada yada, I was like, why does that sound so fucking familiar to me?
Right.
I can't, maybe it's a reincarnation thing, I don't know.
Maybe. Something.
But yeah, so that was interesting, and I'm definitely looking, I don't want to say looking forward. I'm going to go into it with cautious optimism. I'll watch it, and we'll see.
Same.
They showed Crimson Desert, which I have to point out because this, to me, when I saw this, is not at all what I thought it was going to be. Once the trailers started going and it showed the gameplay, I was like, wow. So this is like a medieval fantasy RPG, but it's fucking wacky. It reminds me of GTA in a lot of ways, like if GTA took place in the medieval days. It's kind of I mean, there's a part in the trailer where he like snatches this lady off her horse and carriage and then gets up on it and rides it himself, which granted you can do in the Assassin's Creed games too, but still, like, that is fucking wild. But I laugh so hard because there's a part where he's riding the horse and him and the horse jump off a cliff, and then he jumps off the horse and the horse like goes down screen, and I'm like, oh my god, he fucking Yoshi jumped the horse. he Yoshi jumped the horse because in the Super Mario world, when you're trying to get up to a higher ledge and you're riding Yoshi, you can jump with Yoshi, but then you can jump off Yoshi to give Mario an extra boost, but then you send Yoshi to his death down into the pits below. You sacrifice him to get an extra boost, and the motherfucker did that with the horse in this trailer. He Yoshi jumped it, and then he turns into a cloud and starts flying through the air, and I was like, well, I'm sold. I gotta play this. And then there was another Assassin's Creed Mirage trailer where they showed off that the game will have the option to play the game with the audio completely in the native language of where it takes place in Baghdad.
Interesting.
And that really stood out to me because I was like, okay, I mean, I'm probably still going to play it in English, but like it's cool that that's a thing, you know? Like if you want to go like full immersion, it's just nice that they're like showing respect to that culture and keeping it authentic in that way. And more than anything, I'm just excited that the series is going back to its roots with the parkour and the jumping off rooftops and stabbing people in the throat and shit like that. The three games Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla that I like to call the RPG trilogy, they were fun and all. Or the Lila trilogy, because she's the modern day character in that one. They're fun and all, but like they're so big and so much in them that it gets a little overwhelming. I'm glad to have a more like condensed linear experience again. You know, is what I'm looking forward to. That and just running along rooftops like I used to. You know, there's not enough rooftops in the open fields of Norway. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But anyways, you like fighting games, so let's talk about Tekken 8. That was the next thing that they showed.
So I played a handful of the Tekken games. I am excited for this one. It's been a while since I've played Tekken, but I think this would be fun to get back into. To get back into the get back into the Tekken series. I mean,
One of the things that stood out to me is that this game has a literal arcade mode in the sense that like
yes,
you create a little avatar that looks like an Xbox Live character and you go into a virtual arcade and play the game online against other people on a virtual arcade machine as if you were like back at the arcade, back in the day.
exactly. I think that is probably one of the coolest things ever.
Yes. And I'm trying to think who is the kid? Okay. The other thing I noticed very briefly at the end is that an exclusive pre-order bonus for the PlayStation version of the game is I want to say it's like avatars or skins or something for the wooden character Mokujin, which he's been in a lot of the Tekken games. The last one I played was back on the PS1, and I didn't even really do a lot of the fighting stuff. But
Uh-huh.
what I did do was the game had like a volleyball mode where the characters would like hit a beach ball back and forth and like they would knock each other out by, getting the ball to hit the ground. But it was different levels of difficulty too. So like easy was just a regular beach ball, but if you turned it up to like medium, it would be like a something heavier like a medicine ball or something like that, or
Yeah.
even like a basketball. And then if you turned it up to hard, it was like a fucking bowling ball. You just had to like use your fighting moves to
Right.
hit it back and forth and try to screw up the other person. So it was like, oh, this is like some fun like Mario Party minigame shit in this fighting game. Tekken was always the weird one, It was always the redheaded stepchild of the fighting games. It's a very interesting one because its cast of characters are like not all completely humanoid. There's like a skeleton samurai and like a dude made completely of wood, and there's literally a bear, Kuma the bear, and and in the one I played with the volleyball, there was a little lizard creature named Goro. It looked like a tiny dinosaur. Is one of the characters, So, really, really weird shit. But Tekken has been a PlayStation mainstay for a while. Remember how Hihachi, like the cover character of the game, was a PlayStation All-Stars fighter?
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of covered over. So, so you may be surprised to hear that I'm actually going to talk about this because it's not normally a game I much care for, but
Right.
they did show Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and here's what I've noticed just from like what I've seen, what I've heard, and some videos I've watched on YouTube and stuff. Ever since they started remaking the Modern Warfare franchise, even though they still have a heavy focus on multiplayer with all the battle royale shit and Warzone and all that, they have started putting more dedicated teams towards the single player so that the single player campaigns are no longer just an afterthought. There's actually like effort put into them, because for a while there Call of Duty was just the same copy pasted bullshit every year and people were only buying it for the multiplayer. But the campaigns are actually worth playing now, because they have put a lot of focus into dealing with the more thematic elements of like war and stuff. I've heard that like one of the games has like a scene where you're like forced to torture someone during an interrogation, and it's like really hard to sit through,
Hmm.
So they're doing more of a showing you the horrors of war, not so much glorifying it. In fact, I would say that if anybody glorifies it, it's the fan base. The problem, I don't think the games are the problem. I think the fan base is the problem, and that can be said for a lot of things. I think a lot of things that actually have some quality to them, a lot of people are easily turned off of them because they have such toxic fan bases. You know what I mean? That's an unfortunate side effect sometimes. Like Undertale. Undertale's a good game, and that has that's happened a lot with that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I was saying, the quality of the single player campaigns has gone up, but like it's but a lot of people buy those games for the multiplayer, and the people who exclusively only play the multiplayer are usually insufferable. Not always.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not saying everyone who plays the game is a bad person or whatever, but I am saying that there's a reason I avoid online multiplayer in most games. But I do want to tell you something very interesting.
What's that?
So what I noticed when I watched the gameplay for this, first of all, one of the reasons it stood out to me is because it's kind of stealthy, the part that they showed. Like, you're infiltrating a Russian prison and you're, like, using night vision goggles to take out the enemies stealthily as you're, like, rappelling down into this dark tunnel and shit.
Okay.
But the fact that you're infiltrating a Russian prison is what stood out to me, because I think it's being topical because of what's going on in the world right now,
Right.
But also, that brought me back to... So this new Modern Warfare 3 is a remake, or a reboot. They started rebooting the franchise a few years back with the Modern Warfare reboot, and they just did 2 and 3. So, the original Modern Warfares 1, 2, and 3, way back on the 360 and shit, in the second one, there was a very controversial level called No Russian. So controversial, in fact, that they patched in the ability to skip the level entirely.
Okay.
The reason why is because in this mission, you are a undercover American soldier, I think. I may have to fact check myself on this, but the idea, you'll get the gist anyways. But you're an American soldier, I want to say, undercover in the Russian army, and they go to an airport and unleash what is basically a terrorist attack on a bunch of innocent citizens at the airport. And you have no choice but to murder and mow down all these innocent citizens, otherwise you risk blowing your cover. And that's why they make the mission skippable. But to me, that says that they've always tried to showcase the true horrors of war in the single-player campaigns, but the problem is no one ever sees it because they only buy it for the goddamn multiplayer. So after a while, they realized that they weren't making any money off the games for single-player, and they stopped caring about it and focused exclusively on the multiplayer. But now they're starting to care about the single-player again in the reboots. So, and they're starting to show like more horrific stuff like that again, like torture scenes and shit like that, to show you that war isn't all, roses and unicorns, obviously. So you want to talk about Sonic?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Sonic Superstars.
Yes. Got some multiplayer to it.
Yeah, I like the fact that it reminds me of the side-scroller from the Sega Genesis, but with 3D graphics. That's exactly what that shit reminds me of, and that was that was enough. That's what had me sold on Sonic Frontiers.
Sonic Frontiers or the other?
That's what had me sold on Sonic Superstars. Wow, I
was gonna say Frontiers is a more like modern one. It's full like 3D, and that one's open world too on top of it, which is kind of interesting.
And the fact that there's a DLC coming to that, I want to hop on the Sonic Frontiers bandwagon.
I watched the Game Grumps play it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. It was different. It was definitely different for Sonic. A huge tone shift, for sure. Also, it sounds like all the characters finally hit puberty, too, so there's that. Couple of RPGs back-to-back. I saw a Nightingale, which is a steampunk fantasy MMO RPG.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is a JRPG. And Zenless Zone Zero, which is the next free-to-play game in the Miyoho universe or whatever. The people who made Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail, both games that I like, they're completely free-to-play. They're doing this one, too.
Nice.
So it'll be in that vein. Genshin Impact is like an open world, almost kind of like plays almost like Breath of the Wild in a way, like.
Okay.
And then Honkai Star Rail is more of a sci-fi adventure with turn-based combat, like a classic RPG. So each of their games are a little bit different, but the fact that they're completely free, you can play them on mobile, console, or PC is nice.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out, not necessarily that I'm interested in it, but the game The First Descendant kind of looks like Destiny to me.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out this game called Under the Waves because it looks really emotional. It looks like a survival game, but like it has narrative, like a very heavy narrative element. Because like the guy, it looks like he's like trapped in a submarine or something underwater, and he's like talking to his wife on the intercom, and you know she's like, "Please come home" and all that. I'm very interested in that one, especially because I get the feeling it might be like a choice-based narrative kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it is, I'm definitely all over that. Fort Solace. So we got to see Troy Baker again, and he was talking about Fort Solace, the same game that they announced at last year's Game Awards. And I thought it was funny when they were talking about how like he made a hole in the wall with his butt just from all the like moving around for motion capture and stuff. But anyways, I can't tell if it's a horror game or not, or if it's like a sci-fi thriller or what it is exactly. But I do know that it's out now and it's only $30 on the PlayStation Store. But you know what else?
What's that?
There's a free trial for it as well. An hour-long free trial for PS Plus Premium members.
Okay.
So if you weren't sold on it from what you saw at the show, you can try before you buy,
right,
so to speak. And you mentioned before being interested in Forza, so I thought, how did The Crew stand out to you? They showed the new Crew game.
I like The Crew. I have a couple of the Crew games. They're interesting. For sure.
Okay, so did you see that the new one between September 14th and 17th is going to have a free 5-hour-long trial that you can try it before you buy it?
Yes.
But you have to get in on it during those dates.
Yeah.
It comes out September 14th, so the weekend it releases, there'll be a 5-hour trial.
Yeah.
That you can play. And I know this also stood out to you probably. Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk. We got an extended look at that and some of the new gameplay features that are coming with it, you know. But then they also mentioned that even if you don't have the DLC, a lot of those same features are going to be patched into the core game in the next major 2.0 update for the game as well.
Okay.
So I don't know how much of Cyberpunk you've played. I haven't played any of it, but I know that you said you've played some of it before. So
I've played some
what do you
of
think?
It. I've played some of it. Not enough to be excited for the new update, but I'm excited that it's going to be free. That's all I can say.
Well, the update will be, but not the Phantom Liberty DLC, because that's a story expansion. But
right, yeah.
But so you'll need the DLC to get all the new story stuff, but you won't need the DLC to get the new gameplay features they're patching in. You know, because that's
right.
Major update content. 2.0 is like jumping from, you know, whenever it ends in a 0.0 or 0.5, it means they've jumped to a major update. So I guess we also heard at the Game Awards, I don't know if you've ever played it, but there's a mobile card game called Marvel Snap, and it's like a trading card game like Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that. And it's now available on Steam, so if people don't want to play it on their phone, they can play it on the PC instead, and still completely free to play. They won Best Mobile Game at the Game Awards last year, so it's definitely worth checking out. It's definitely worth checking out if you haven't, because if you like TCGs and you like Marvel, definitely try it. But if you're going to go up against other players, do be warned that there might be some pay-to-win gotcha bullshit. But that's just, par for the course with free-to-play games,
Pretty much.
Well, here's the big one that you mentioned before. Mortal Kombat 1, we got another new trailer for that with even more fatalities.
Oh my god, those fatalities were amazing. Also, I'm excited to play as Homelander in this one.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I forgot that he was going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the new Mortal Kombat being a tag team game where you have the cameo fighters?
It's interesting. It's different. I like it.
It definitely is. I heard they even wrote the story around that concept this time too for the single player campaign.
Yeah.
Also, it's just like, the whole resetting the timeline and the cameo fighters thing is really just an excuse to bring back nostalgic costumes for OG characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it really is. But hey, I'm down with it. This is, again, these types of fighting games aren't usually my thing, just from a gameplay style, but I do love to go on YouTube and watch all the cutscenes and all the fatalities. That's kind of... I'm always down for that. Like I've said before, I like cross brawlers like Smash Bros. And All Stars. I don't so much care for the 1v1 2D sidestepping fighting, classic fighting games like these. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's just the gameplay mechanics never really really did anything for me, but I do love the stories of the new Mortal Kombats. Like, ever since they started a new story with Mortal Kombat 9 and just went from there, and the goofy shit they've been doing with time travel and all that, I'm all for it, I love convoluted narratives that get complicated because of timey-wimey shit. That's kind of up my alley. So, so very interesting, huh? And so you and I both like choice-based narrative games, so I think we'd both be interested in this next one, a game called Dustborn.
Yeah.
Very interesting art style in that one, too. Kind of reminded me of Road 96, which was a game in my top 10 last year.
Okay.
But, I like the art style of this. I like I love choice-based narratives, and I think that's what this game is one of those choice-based ones. But I had to laugh because, and it looks like it's futuristic because there's, robots and shit. But in the trailer, they say, in a world divided by disinformation, where danger lurks around every corner. I was like, so current-day America? That's where we are now.
Yes. Right, yeah.
Basically, or the internet. Yeah, so, but no, it looks good to me because it's, it's a choice-based narrative game,
Hell yeah.
And I'm always down for those. And then, of course, we saw more Alan Wake 2. I'm excited for that. Everyone knows I love the first game. I've done Let's Plays of it and all that. It's one of the best horror games ever made, especially if you're a Stephen King fan. And I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't explain why, but it looks like in this game, Alan is stuck in alternate reality known as the Dark Place, and a evil doppelganger has taken his place in the real world, so it looks like this game is about trying to escape from the Dark Place and stop your evil doppelganger from, doing bad things. In the real world. So I'm excited. Plus, in this one, you don't just play as Alan in the dark world, but you also play as an FBI detective in the real world investigating the disappearance of Alan Wake. So that'll be fun. But, if anybody hasn't ever played Alan Wake, I highly recommend playing the remaster. It was free for PlayStation Plus members last month. So hopefully people got on that and definitely check it out. And then the last thing that Jeff ended the show by saying that the Game Awards will be on December 7th this year. That's a Thursday in December.
And it's taking place in, Germany?
No, it'll take place in I think it's taking place in California, like always, at the Microsoft Theater. I'll have to double check that though, because Gamescom took place in Germany. It would be weird if the Game Awards was all the way over there. That's usually in California because that's where Jeff lives. But you and I will definitely be covering that for sure because that's like one of the biggest gaming events of the year. Because not only is it basically the video game Oscars, but there is always a bunch of surprise announcements too. So we get to not only talk about the winners, but we get to talk about the surprises that we were shown too. The Last of Us Part 2 was announced at a Game Awards, the first time it was ever announced,
Yeah.
So several of the games that we saw at Gamescom this week were announced at the Game Awards last year. So,
okay.
So yeah, I think Death Stranding was announced at a Game Awards. Can't wait for Death Stranding 2. I hope we get to see more of that at this year's Game Awards. That one's going to have Ellie Fanning in it, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I think the Game Awards will be at the same place it is every year. The Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles. I think it's in Los Angeles anyway. I don't know. It's somewhere in California. But yeah. But okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was basically our recap, talking about the things that stood out the most in Gamescom.
Yeah.
Gamescom 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mention it, but like there were, just because it wasn't something that stood out to me personally, but I guess it wouldn't be fair not to, but Diablo 4 is getting like a huge update with new content. And a few other things like that, but yeah. So that, what was the biggest thing for you personally? For me, it was Little Nightmares 3 for sure. I think I mentioned that earlier.
For me personally, I think the thing I got most excited for was Sonic Superstars.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Man, Sonic is still kicking. Sonic and Mario, those two will never die. Okay.
Hell no.
Alright, well, that's going to be it for this episode then, folks. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments or what have you. What were your favorite things from this year's Gamescom if you watched it, or if you haven't watched it? Go watch it and come back and tell me what your favorite things were, or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But anywho, I have been your host, Justin, aka Oversoul, and you can find me on the website formerly known as Twitter, at Oversoul53, and of course, if you on YouTube as Oversoul Gaming. And you can find me on, I refuse to call it X. So yeah, the website formerly known as Twitter at the Vaping Fiend, TikTok the .vaping.fiend. I should probably update that because I have everything else the Vaping Fiend. But yeah, those are our two main platforms, TikTok and Twitter. Indeed. And don't worry, folks, he's not drunk, he's just sleepy. Alright, well...
Yeah, no, I'm trying to adjust to the overnight schedule again, and I'm not having very good luck on that.
Oh, I know the feeling. But anyways. Alright, well, once again, everyone, thanks for listening, and good night, everybody.
Nighty-night.